The drug 5 or 6 hours to get it down. I would not suggest giving a person green raw chlorophyll if they have been on insulin and coming off of insulin and were vomiting up everything, because some people it makes them vomit more. If the vomiting continues over a very long period of time, then a person that's on insulin must be gotten into a hospital where they can have the IVs given them and get the insulin that is in excessive amounts out of the system. Yes? Some people yes, and other people no. Is it true that green drink always makes the sugar drop rapidly? It doesn't always, no. These questions that you ask are very important, and I'm glad to take up each one of them. But it's so easy sometimes to run 50 tests and then come up with a conclusion. And to your majestic surprise, the number 60 goes crazy. It doesn't fit the other 50. So you never know which one is going to be the rebel, the one that's going to be way out. You can always use Mincol for arthritis. Well, many times it makes the condition worse for a few days before it makes it better. For testing, yes, we have instruments, but you must let the water go through it slowly, not quickly. Yes?
You usually refer to the total urea. Is the relationship between the ammoniacal nitrogen and the nitrate nitrogen of a diagnostic value to us?
It is of no value whatsoever for diagnostic purposes. It's very valuable for analytical purposes. Yes. Well, I explain what? I just did a half hour ago. I just went through this a half hour ago. Don't you remember me saying that the top nitrogen was anionic and the bottom number of the urea was cationic? Don't you remember me saying that? You don't see the difference in an anion and a cation. Energy. How is energy made? He doesn't understand what we're getting at. How is energy made? By resistance. This is what we're getting at, is the energy rating. The energy rating. Did you know that a watch that has a spring in it runs on energy from that spring? Energy. Yes, you must figure out the energy. This is what the whole thing is about. Cause and effect. Too much or too little energy. This is what we want to know. Where do we get our energy from? We get our energy from 3 sources. What are they? Food, light, and water. Food, light, and water are the sources of our nutritional program. Then what must we do with them? The only way you can keep your energy is to use it, but don't overuse it, neither do you abuse it. You must keep your energy up or your health will deteriorate. It's an absolute must. What is the effect of a high blood sugar on the vision? The first thing it causes is fluid to build up in the eyeball. That's right. Then the next thing, what happens? Small ulceration, a blurry vision, lightheadedness, or even headaches. So these are conditions and things that are brought about by blood sugar. Now, why do you suppose that happens? Why does the eye gather fluid?
Lack of vitamin A,
Lack of vitamin A and one other product. Oxygen, that is right. Lack of oxygen. Whenever you have a lack of oxygen to the brain, what's the first thing you would expect to happen? A deficiency in what? Potassium. Cause and effect. Do you see this? Do you see this chain reaction? Cause and effect. Chain reaction. We live off of actions and reactions of chain of events. We live off of these chain of events, and we must take into consideration no one thing but all of the things are important.
If the top nitrogen number is anionic and it's high, will lemon juice make it worse then?
No, it will not. Why? Why?
Now is the time to turn tape over. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
It was the first reading or the 20th reading, and we'll take that up tomorrow. Oh, it will not. Why? Why?
Why would it make it worse, or why did I have to wait?
No, why do you think it would be worse?
I don't know. If it's anionic and you put more anions in.
Where does it come from? Where does the urea come from? Protein. What? What's that? Undigested protein. Why isn't it digested? So because the digestive juices are not working on it. Then what does the lemon juice work on? The liver. Okay? Good. You see, he knew the answer all the time. Just wanted me to tell him. Yes. Good.
Now here's a letter.
Read it.
Want me to read it?
Yeah.
Would you let me read it? It says, the majority of all the students are deeply concerned about helping each patient. The lack of immediate return of cards puts each of us in a very difficult position with our patients. Your supposed answer that it is being worked on and will be solved by the computers is not going to solve our immediate problem. We feel that the computers will be inadequate for at least 3 months. Basically, how can we continue to test individuals and stay in business unless we can get a report read within 1 week? How can we help to have others trained to do the readings, including the energy, so that all reports can be kept current? Please discuss this with the group before the end of the session.
Very good. After you go back, you're going to be able to make a diet to fit the problem. Put them on the diet. Continue making tests, and when you do get the answer to it, it'll tell them what you've been working on. It's not necessary to know what's wrong in order to correct the condition. It's not necessary. Correct their diet first. Give them a diet to bring their numbers back to perfect. And you know whenever the sugar's too high, you know when they're diabetic, you know when it's too low, you know when they need a colonic, you know whenever they need, when they're eating too much meat, you know these things. So you're going to know quite a lot this time when you go back that you didn't know when you came here. Also, you're going to know whether they're drinking enough water, and you're going to know whether or not that they're trying to pull your leg or when their body's in withdrawal, and there's no picture. There's a whole lot of things you're going to know. If I could train 10 people to read cards in 1 week, I'd do it, but it's impossible. Yes.
If you're working with the people and trying to help them and they need colonics that have no access to a machine,
if after doing the test for someone you determine that they do seriously need a colonic and you have no access or they have no access to a colonic, what are some animal or other alternatives that would be sort of at least helpful in this regard to get them going?
There's nothing that will take the place of a colonic that I know of to act quickly. However, there are Shackley products which I'm not advocating or saying, I'm just naming it as one thing, that they have a very good laxative. Also, there's anise, and there's also castoria, but it will not thoroughly clean the colon. So the thing that you need to do is to tell them to get to a colonic. I don't know of anybody in the United States that can't get to a colonic somewhere. There's some in Atlanta, and there's airplane service every day, and there's two things that will happen. If you go down there and get a colonic, the bill will be so big on the airfare until it'll scare the rest of it out. Yes? Just a minute. I'll cut to the... Yeah? Come up. Enema only cleans the lower colon, except the kid when he gets on his all fours and puts his head down. It'll clean a kid, but an adult, you've got to have the water going in and coming out at the same time. You can't do both. You can't hold that much. Yes.
In reference to the question that was brought up prior to this one, I say in reference to the question about the cards being read, all well that we can give them a diet, but the people have paid specifically, Dr. Reams, for your interpretation. And they come up to me and they say, did Dr. Reams say this? Sometimes I bluff them and sometimes I can't. So the problem is, they want your say-so and not ours. Even if we can do the job, they won't take it. But they don't take it in my case.
I appreciate that very much, but when there's 10,000 a day wanting Dr. Reams and they call day and night, no man can answer all these questions, but I believe in another week. And I thought I'd know before the class was over about what the computer has done. But it will be in another week. You will have it at the most by around the 15th, I'm sure, that the answers will be on the computer, and there'll be enough of them out working wherein that you will be able to get the answer from some terminal. Now, when only 3 or 4 terminals were on, we could not afford to tell 264 people that these 4 people had a terminal. You would arrest them. So we're just going to have to be patient, do the best we can. This condition, as I explained to you at the beginning of the class, was beyond our control because the terminals were 3 months late in delivery, and 7 of them has not yet been delivered that have been paid for. And a good many people that have terminals that are now working have not sent their $3,500 in to take care of it. But I also meet with a group of people either tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning who are planning on putting a terminal in every office. So every one of you that wants a terminal without any cost to you, you will have to guarantee them, though, that you will do 100 tests per month. 100 tests per month. And if you can't do that, then work with 3 of you that will do 100 tests per month. Or 5 of you that will do 100 tests per month. But this is a requirement. And you who have bought terminals, if you want to change, if you wish to change your system now for the new system, the money that you have paid will be returned to you. Instead of paying $5, you will pay $12.50 per test, on which that will maintain all equipment, right jam up. It'll also put you on a system of telephone service, the watch line, which will cut your telephone bill terrifically and make it available to you 24 hours per day all over the nation. It will put about 80 telephones available that can be working instantaneously, but it will take to the first of the year to get that big system in all over the nation, and until then the small system that we have now will be working. Yes. You can switch anytime you wish to, but the ones that have the terminals in will have the first refusal of the switch, or they'll have a chance to get the new terminals in. Also, it will give you a printout, and immediately, right then and there, you can put something in and get out a printout right then and there. This thing has grown so rapidly fast until we cannot keep up with it. We are doing our best. We are trying for brains to come into the organization that has a part of the answer. It's so easy to criticize, but the load is too heavy for our executive branch, and we need help. We need it badly. We need it in every phase. We need lots of help. So if you can meet the qualifications needed for the leadership required, please let us know.
You probably just answered my comment, but I guess, in all due respect, Dr. Ream, I've got a list here of things that you've mentioned that you're going to be working on, such as a pH meter, a urea meter, finishing up the computer program, working on an alkaline vitamin C. There's patients still at the retreat house. There's terminals that you thought about going into each office. And then you discussed about the attorneys for our representation. And all of these areas are very fine areas, I think, to concentrate your energies in. But I don't see how one man or one group or one organization can cover all of those and do all a very good job in each of them. And I guess I would say that we need to focus. We need to get our attentions directed into a point, into an area where it seems like we can do the most good for most people right now, right away.
I agree with you 100%, but we have 5 organizations now and 5 executive heads to it. And we need about 4 more in order to handle this. We have 5 branches in order to keep up with, and all of them is doing a fabulous job. And we have calls so far out and so far beyond what we can do until it's impossible. We need people, we need faculty for the college. This is being put in, but the people that's in charge of this division are ones that are not able to do the immediate thing of reading cards. It kind of reminds me of a secretary that came to my wife one day when she was in the office, and we had an engineering problem, and she asked my wife, said, can you tell me what the doctor wants me to do with this engineering blueprint? And my wife said, I do not know what to do with it. You'll have to ask the doctor himself. She said, do you mean to tell me you've been married to this man for so many years and you don't know what to do with a blueprint? Well, there's a lot of people in our organization that cannot read the numbers. And there's a lot of people that cannot do this or that or the other, so we try to put each one in his active branch. Now, you want this on the computer very badly, don't you? And so the programmer wants me down there very badly to guide him in the numbers that it gets on there. I should have been born twins so I could get all my work done. But anyway, I can only do so much within a day, and we'll get to you as quickly as we can. We're very sorry that we're late of these terminals. I would not have even taught the last 3 classes had I known these terminals were, and the first course, had I known that these terminals were going to be late. I have ordered equipment from companies for many, many years, but this is the first time that I've ever had a late delivery when a big corporation as big as the one that we ordered from came up late. It seems that there's no honesty or truth anymore in government and on top of some of these big companies. They'll promise you the sun and not even deliver a little star on time. So I'm trying. I apologize. I'm sorry. We'll get to you as fast as we can. We have advised the people to cut down on the number of tests you are running until we can make this information available to you. We're doing our best. But now, after this course, you'll be able to do a lot more yourself. Now, there are people, let me tell you what they do. They come down to the retreat, and they want to see Dr. Reams and nobody else. And yet they want to take 14 hours a day of my time to sit in my office and think up questions. They don't even write them down. They want to sit there and twiddle their fingers while they think up another question. And I do not have time to babysit. And you do not have time to babysit. So if they want to see Dr. Reams, just show them a picture. Just show them a picture. There's about 10,000 every day wanting to see me. It's impossible. Now, I have tried to stay in touch with the testers to the best of my ability, but one day we had about 130 testers that had an emergency in one day. So the secretaries told me. So that comes in waves. We'll try to get to you as quickly as I can. And I'm sorry if we lose a card now and then. Well, it does happen. Whenever we have the very best help we can get, and they don't even know the alphabet, or can't even file them correctly. But you'd be amazed at how many cards come in with the first name first instead of the last name first. You would be amazed at how many cards that you mail in to us that you have forgotten to put the age, height, and weight on. You will be amazed at how many cards that come in that have the weight first and the height last and the age somewhere else. So you'll be amazed at how much work it takes sometimes to get these cards over. The last thing you're going to be amazed at most is it almost averages 1 hour to reach you on the telephone. Your line is busy, nobody answers, and you just think 250 people trying to reach you for an hour before we finally get you. Another thing is you send in cards without your name up at the right-hand corner or your telephone number, and we take the telephone number that we've got, and I'm sorry, the telephone number has been changed. We have not been notified. We have not been told. You want the answer back. We cannot get you. We've called operator there. I'm sorry, we have no record of any change. The old number is all that we have. And then you call it for us, and then they call us. And an hour and a half is spent sometimes trying to get your number, and sometimes it fails. So there's two sides to everything. I'm not on the defensive. I'm only telling you some of the problems that we have. So please bear with us. Yes.
Dr. Reams, presuming you could get the people to do some intensive study under your training, how long do you think it would take to train these people to do a pretty good job of interpretation for the testers?
Possibly 90 days. Possibly 90 days. Laverne has this set ready now, and she's ready to start the test from A to Z. If you'll come up and I'll stand up, or I'll just time her from where you are, and it's all right to start now and see how long it takes you to run the test.
Can you talk and tell us what you're doing?
Yes, tell them what you're doing. I'll hold it.
Oh, I can't talk and do it at the same time.
She says she can't talk and do it at the same time. Right now she is running a refractometer test after she has dropped 2 drops in the pipette. At one stroke, she picked up the pipette and put 1 drop in each of the cups, or in 1 cup, and then she put it on the refractometer, and now then she's putting the drops into the plates for a reading. Now she is rechecking to see if she made an error. We're doing the second. You got 2 samples?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought you had 1 sample. She's running 2 samples. 2 different samples. Sometimes you rerun them to see if you make an error. Running 2 samples, and they're recording it. Puts the Kleenex or the paper towel in the refractometer so it will absorb any moisture that's there. Now then she's dropping the extract solution number 1 into the cups. She's dropped the extract solution in 2 cups, and she's concentrating 2 of them at the same time. I have done 3 with each hand, 3 with the left and 3 with the right at the same time. I have run 6 tests in 15 minutes. So you remember, it was not a month.